Okay.
All right, good evening, everybody. Tonight is Monday, Wednesday, sorry. It's Wednesday, March 18th. It's the monthly meeting of the School Building Committee. First item on the agenda would be the status of the MSBA funding agreement signatures. And I think that would be Emily.
Yep. So that is over with the town. I think it's going to select board on the night of 3/23. So that's in progress.
So,
I'll bring my
um,
signing pen. We'll sign it.
Yeah, basically have to just sign the agreement, that's all. So that should take care of that. Next item would be to review and recommend the approval of the CM agreement. So if you want to share that, Emily, with us.
Yep.
And Fontaine said because it's March, they were willing to knock an extra couple percent off the whole bill.
Excellent.
Can you guys see that?
Not yet. You get a
Wait,
double click to enter full screen mode. There
there
we
we
go.
go.
Yep. So on that one, Emily, if you wanted to walk through, I guess Jeff had done some negotiating on that. So if you wanted to walk through what it started with and what we ended up with and what you guys tweaked.
Yes. So he was able to negotiate around 42,000 out of the price. I wasn't totally involved in the details on that. Um, but this contract does include both the pre-con and construction phase services. Um,
Right. And with
and
it, the way this is set up, and Jeff had gone over this before, is basically for the pre-con, they go to get they go, we work in the pre-con. When we come up to a final number, if for some reason that there's the disconnect between the Fontaine and the town of Millis, we still have the ability to terminate the agreement and go out again to somebody else if that happens, which we would hope would never happen. So that's one thing in there. And the other thing is basically this contract covers the whole thing, soup to nuts. The whole school as a GMP. Uh, that's how that's set up right now. Was there anything else I missed on that, Emily?
nope, that's pretty much it.
Okay. All right. So this has been reviewed by Vertex. I had a chance to take a peruse through it, and it all looked like we caught everything. Was there any other comment or questions from the group?
Rich,
Yes.
there's a typo in here.
Okay.
Emily, can you scroll down a little bit slowly so I can find it? It's not particularly critical, but if I can remember where it is. Otherwise, I'll
You read it.
withdraw.
You
Otherwise,
read it closer than I did, Jim, because I didn't pick up the typo.
well, I only went for the first 5 or 6 pages, and I can't. I'm sorry. It's fine. It's not substantial.
Okay.
I should have written it down, which of course is not quite the same thing as actually writing it down, but that's okay. Sorry.
That's all right.
There's a word repetitious in there that's spelled repetitious or something. I don't know.
Okay, we'll try to find it.
All right. Well, if there's no other comment from the group, I make a motion that we approve the CM agreement with Fontaine as presented.
Second the motion.
All right. The motion's been made and seconded, and if I could get back to the screen because I have to. So, Jim, what is your vote?
I vote yes.
Let's see, Craig.
Yes, although I'm not a voting member.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Al. Sorry, I know
Yes.
you popped up. Yeah, I saw you were above Jim, so I got really excited. Al,
Yes.
Shayna,
Yes.
I'm a yes,
Sarah?
and Sarah. Sorry, Sarah, I can't see you. There you go.
Yes.
All right, and Sarah's yes. So, all right, motion passed unanimously. So, congratulations, Fontaine, you're on board.
Thank you, Rich. Happy to be here. And yeah, get that around our office and get it back to you guys quick. It should be a pretty standard agreement. So
Yeah.
thank you.
All right. Next thing is the introduction of the CM team, which I think since Joel, you seem to be the one. Do you want to introduce everybody, or you want to take the lead?
Yeah, sure. So again, thank you, everybody. Very excited to be here, and we're honored to be chosen for the project, and we're excited about it. Our team has TAPA's DD set of drawings in hand, and we're anxiously working our way through the first estimate, and really just excited to be here and ready to hit the ground running with you all. And so tonight I've got Chelsea Mutry, our Vice President of Pre-Construction Services, here with us. So Chelsea will help us kind of quarterback the pre-construction process and procurement and estimating over the course of the next year, getting ready to mobilize next March. Nick, a lot of you might remember from the interview, Nick Skibos, our superintendent, is here with us tonight, and Griff Kuchar, our project manager, is with us as well. And I'll be working with that team, and I'll be your project executive here on the project. And Chelsea, anything else to add on your end?
No, I think I share the excitement though, Joel. We had a page turn meeting today to go through the DD docs, and it's just exciting to kick it off and full force, you know? So no,
Yeah.
we're excited. Thanks for having us.
And Joel, thank you, Chelsea. If we needed to get in contact with you,
Mhm.
who would the person that we'd want to reach out to? Would it be Griffin, or would it be you, or how do you guys want to handle that? If we had any, we copy, obviously TAPA, but if we had questions specifically.
Yeah, so I'll be main point of contact, so I can be the recipient of the question, and depending on if it's site related, project related, pre-construction related, I can kind of quarterback from there.
All right. Well, that's great. No, we're excited to get it started too. So, and we have, obviously we chose you because we had a good feeling. So we're hoping that continues through the whole project. So,
Right on.
Rich,
so the next, yes, sir.
can I just a quick question? When will folks who are either in the school or around the school start to see meaningful activity?
Good
Have they-
question.
Have they already
So
started it?
yeah, so the actual mobilization and doing the work on site won't start until about a year from this time.
No, but I mean people going around doing test
Yep.
drillings and whatnot. Because people will say, "Well, we saw folks, and we don't know whether they're that." Or so, is there any idea there?
Yeah, so we have been kicking around the idea of planning out some strategic access and investigations, particularly while the school's not occupied.
Yeah.
And summer is looming, and summer will be a good opportunity for us. Nick or Griff, anything else to add on your end there?
Yes. So Griffin, Alex, and myself are planning to do a walk around the outside of the site next week. Just start looking at utility runs and everything. Nothing to do inside the building, and start getting a good feel of what the parking situation looks like while the school's in full swing. And then just try to really lock down our logistics plan. I'm going to try to get there a little bit earlier, kind of see the school bus traffic, just so we can really plan and put this logistics plan together so it works good for the school as well as us.
That's good. Do you know if you let me know what day that is? Maybe
Absolutely.
I can and I think John Engler, who's probably would be there anyhow, would be, he's ready to go.
Okay.
And the other thing is that we've set up to have test pits dug. We initially had that thought process to do it in February, but we had 3 feet of frost. So now we have a little less frost. So we're going to try to dig them during April vacation. So
No, that's exactly what I was going to say, Rich. So thank you.
So that'll be some activity going on. Thanks, Matt. So that was a good question, Jim. And also the other thing is just for this group, when we had Niche out there doing some surveying, we had the whole neighborhood up in a big tizzy. So we'll have to make sure that there's good outreach, because Facebook blew up. The guys in the orange vests, they're in people's backyards and they didn't know what was going on. So it's, standard practice. We'll just have to make sure we get that dialed in. So,
Good.
all right. Next item is review design development changes.
So I'll briefly bring up the plans and kind of go through some of the changes that came out of programming with the districts. I'll share screen. Okay, so looking at the first floor, this is the overall plan. A couple small items. We added in the mother's rooms into the plans. We didn't have them kind of located previously, so we have those dispersed, one in the new addition and one in the high school wing. A couple changes to the media center. The school requested that we put in an operable partition to kind of section off the classroom space. So we have an operable class partition in there to kind of separate that from the rest of the media center and also allow it to be fully open. So if the space needs to get used for a bigger event, it can fully open. Change to the alt PE was previously we had the space split into two smaller rooms. They requested that we take out that kind of demising wall to separate the two spaces, and we created one larger alternate PE space. They figured that gave them more flexibility in lieu of the two smaller spaces. Another change that happened here was the athletic trainer moved down here. They were previously staying where they are located out on the second floor. And since there's no real direct access out to the fields anymore, they wanted to be down on the first floor so they get out to the fields and into the gym easier. So this allows for easier access from ground level and doesn't have to make people go all the way around and up to the second floor to the other space. The existing space that was the athletic trainer will now just become a storage space.
Matt, can I just ask you a question while you're jumping
yeah.
through that?
Go ahead.
Part of the thing that would be helpful for me to understand is it's these requested changes. What I need to know along the way is what were the changes that were made? Were there any structural changes made to this? And are there any cost implications? Because that's something I need to know along the way.
Well, taking out the wall, we're saving money there. So we didn't really add any money there. There is cost associated with this wall because additional framing is going to be needed. The partition itself is added cost. So that'll all come out of the estimate to find out, the added cost there for that. I know on the middle school project, which we also did with Fontaine, we added this back in. We had VE'd it out, but we also added structural steel to support it. Here, we're trying not to do it with structural steel, just doing it with cold form framing and have it be floor supported. So we're hoping, I think the number for that was around 200,000, if I remember correctly, adding that in during construction. So that does have some cost implications. So we'll see where that shakes out when the estimate comes in.
Only big things, like I said, you don't have to get that.
Yeah.
Would be one that I'd want to know about. If there's little things like taking out a non-bearing wall, we don't care about that. I just want to anything big ticket items.
I think that's probably the biggest one. Again, we reworked the superintendent's office, business office to get a better layout for them to suit the needs and how the people will be using that.
Can I ask a question about the athletic space? Doesn't encroach any additional square footage into the auditorium, right?
No. We literally just took the wall out that used to be in the middle here, and then we shuffled the walls around here to make things work.
Thank you.
We also got a request during the programming meetings. We added a few connecting doors. This one connects the teacher planning to the resource room. There's two other locations. There's one here and then two on the second floor. One here connecting the small group in the resource room, and another one here connecting the two SPED classrooms. That does have some cost because those doors, in order to meet the STC requirements, they have to be an acoustically rated door, which needs to have a STC reading of at least 47. And those doors are not cheap. So those come out to probably be around 8 to 10 grand per door. So we put them in for the estimate. We'll see what things shake out. And if we come in high, that's something we can look at VEing out. A couple other minor changes here on the first floor. Reworked the nurses suite a little bit, just kind of flip spaces around from where they were at before, just so they had better sight lines and it worked better with the kind of the layout and flow that they want to have happen in that space. The SRO office, it was in this enclosed office previously. We broke them out to be kind of floating in this space here, and they'll have some storage behind them. And then the SPED office director took over the space there. I think that's it's the end of the major things on the first floor. Second floor, again, we reworked the counseling suite a little bit. They wanted a slightly bigger conference room to accommodate some more people and some space for additional storage. So we just shifted the walls around a bit in there to allow that to happen. We talked about the connecting doors there. And then the STEAM classroom. This was previously one large classroom with a small storage closet. They requested kind of a separate room off of STEAM, so they have somewhere to put 3D printers and kind of keep everything separated from the rest of the teaching classroom. So we added a wall with some glazing in there. So again, there is some added cost there, but nothing major. The casework and stuff we had already. And again, we talked about this is where the trainer was located previously. We shifted them downstairs, so this now just becomes storage, which was previously down on the first floor level. Those, I think, are all the major things that kind of came out of the programming meetings. Steph or Steve, if there's anything I missed, feel free to chime in.
You did great.
You gonna jump onto those exterior elevations for us too?
Yep.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Matt, the only other thing was there was a couple other janitor's closets we were able to create. One outside of the existing athletic trainer room up on the second floor of the locker rooms, and then John is getting the janitor's closet he was looking for across from what is the gang toilets right now, right outside the athletic trainer's office. So.
And then on the exterior elevation of the gym, we added the M logo. Again, this is kind of just a placeholder. We'll need to get kind of the exact logo from the town to get that correct, but that's the placeholder for a 3D raised high density carved signage, which will go on that wall. And then we still have the typical split face CMU, but we did add some banding, which will be a ground face CMU. Again, this kind of ties back a little bit to some of the banding that we have happening over at Clyde Brown.
And Matt, can I make a comment on that?
Sure.
So I know this is a preliminary. One of the things that it kind of brings is that we'd like a certain sort of let's say classic elegance, and I'm thinking that that logo and the Millis Athletics is. I think it's Millis Middle High School. I'm thinking this is, I don't know, in my personal opinion, I think this is a little tacky. So I don't know if anyone else, wants to weigh in on that, but I would be nicer if we could do it maybe a little more subtle. Does anyone else have any comment on that?
Rich,
Yes.
I guess I'm going to ask the question, why do we have anything on the exterior? We don't at Clyde Brown, do we?
Matt, that'd be you guys.
As far as like signage or logo
or a logo.
Yeah.
Nothing on the gym, I don't think.
No.
It, like I said, I'm not trying to be, I go to some towns and they have, like Athland, the Clockers, and they've got this, the logo. It just, it kind of, in my mind, it's, this is it's okay in the gym, but it's not, I don't want, personally, I think it's a little over the top. I think it's, a place for education, and when you get inside and you're in the gym, that makes 100% sense, and it could be other places, but I this is where we go for a town meeting, stuff like that. And like I said, this is my opinion. It doesn't mean anything more than anyone else's, so I want anyone else, if they have any thoughts, please weigh in.
I have the rest of my thought, if I may, and that is, when I look at it, it's like, if I'm going in to make mischief in there, and if I'm an active shooter or something like that, I know there's going to be a lot of kids in there. I find that like putting a map, come here. Just my view.
I personally don't mind it.
just because it is such a common thing on many schools that I've been to in various states. So to me, I don't mind it. Um, you know, Diane, am all about safety, but I personally don't see this as an issue, especially with the security that we will be installing with the new building and everything. But to me, it's just such a common thing that I see at other schools. I don't know if anybody else has seen that.
I think
Yeah.
this is obviously going to be a school. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think that that sign is going to tell somebody that wants to do bad things or goof around or do anything that that's any more or less of a school than maybe the building orients it to. Um, Rich, are you against graphics, or are you just against like that style of graphics? Because I think
You know,
it
it's
offers an opportunity to at least put on there like whether I think maybe it should draw more attention to the fact that it's a town building rather than just Millis Athletics. You
I
know,
mean, it just seems a little over the top to me. Like I said, this
yeah,
is first draft, so it's,
yeah,
this is what we do.
yeah,
But to me, town meeting goes there. It's not just Millis Athletics.
yeah.
That's just the first gut instinct I had on it.
Yeah,
That's the side that faces the
I
parking
agree
lot,
with that.
correct? That's
Frank,
the side
sorry.
that faces the parking lot. Yeah, because I think it needs something to break the wall up some.
Mhm.
But I was going, I don't know. I mean, Millis Middle High School with the I don't know. Just
Yeah.
I think something on that wall works. I don't know. It has to be athletics necessarily.
I like the logo that is on Rich's background.
Mhm.
The Millis down the side of the
Millis.
M. Yeah.
Yeah, the M and it says
Yeah,
Millis.
I think that something to break up that wall some would look good. I like the striping on it. I think to be determined, but I don't mind having a placeholder there for some type of graphic.
Yeah, I appreciate the placeholder and having it as something that we can put a cost to. I've seen it happen where we get all the way into construction and then we're finalizing what the signage is, if it even is an applied thing.
Yeah.
Or what I've seen on several projects I've worked on is we'll utilize like the CMU in order to make the shape, or, if this was a brick facade, we could do that too, where you're turning the bricks. And so that makes just kind of a relief pattern on there that could, this happens at Bristol Aggie, down in Dighton. They have their B logo on the side of their science building that just kind of gives a sense of space for the students there and a sense of pride. So I do think it's something nice. It doesn't necessarily have to be Millis Athletics, but just if these are the doors we're coming in for town meeting, then that might be like just a nice glimpse into our town pride.
So Matt, do you have for the entrance of the middle school, you'll have middle school entrance, correct? And above the high school, there'll be a
Correct.
high school entrance, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So again, I think the M with Millis and eliminating the athletics, because this is Millis and that's never going to change, and I just think, again, if you had the two entrances already labeled and then just the M would, I think going back to Bob's request with the Millis going down the side, as you're coming through that S curve when you're first entering the main drive, you're going to see that M,
Correct.
and the word Millis. And I think that's going to bump out at you. And I think it's going to be pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think we do need to have something on the wall. Otherwise, you've got this big blank wall with some, horizontal lines on it. I agree with Rich. I thought your idea was a good one. I mean, it's just something a little bit more, I don't know what the right word is because I'm no artist, but something that's a little bit more artsy craftsy. I don't know what the right word is. And I do agree. It's just saying it's Millis Athletics, I don't think is correct because we will be doing things in that gym beyond athletics, I would assume.
Yeah.
I think the logo on Rich's background, like Bob said, I like that.
Yeah, I think that's a nice one.
Okay.
All right, good. Well, like I said, that was the only thing that jumped out at me when we looked at that. And the only other question I had for you, Matt, is all those air handlers, are those accurate to as they're going to be seen, just for out of curiosity's sake? The roof units?
Close to it, yes. I think they now have the accurate sizes in based on them sizing units, and it may change slightly here or there, but yes, they are the size that they will be.
So just for the group, what you're looking at is they're going to have rooftop units up there right now we don't because we have a centralized boiler. They're going to have rooftop units, so we're going to have those things up on the roof. It's standard. They have them on every building or a lot of commercial buildings. Just making a note that they're going to be there. All right, I think we
Question
beat
about
this
the
to death.
rooftop units is I'm assuming there was an acoustic study where we don't need to have acoustic panels around them.
We have one location with an acoustic screen around it,
But
around the
it doesn't
chiller
need
in
to
the
happen
back.
everywhere. Mhm.
Correct.
Okay.
All right,
Any
good.
other questions or anything else you want to flip through or go through here?
Yeah, I was just going to say, why don't we move on? I think we spent enough time on this for now. So,
Thank you, everybody.
all right, and thank you, Matt. By the way, I wasn't cutting you off. The next item would be the upcoming MSBA submission and estimating cycle. So, Emily, do you want to run through that?
Yep. So March 12th, we had TAPE issue the DD review set, and we distributed that to everybody. We're having around a 3-week estimating cycle with the estimates due back to Vertex and TAPE on April 3rd. Fontaine will also be collecting their sub feedback that day. On the 7th, the 3 estimators will exchange the estimates, and then we'll have the reconciliation on the 9th of April. We'll develop the VE list as well that day. On the 10th, we'll send out the revised estimates and finalize the VE list. And then,
Try not to use jargon, please.
value engineering, sorry.
Thank you.
Yep. It just gets to be a habit at some point.
I know it does.
On the 13th, we will need to add a SBC meeting to review the value engineering if that is needed. If we come in under budget and we don't need to establish the value engineering list or vote on it, then we won't need to have that meeting. And then Wednesday, April 15th, we will have our normal SBC meeting, and that's where we will review and approve the submission to send into the MSBA on the 16th.
So basically, what with that is to add on to that a little bit is that if for some reason we go through and we come over budget, we'll have to meet as an extra meeting to go through to figure out what we'd have to pull back out to get to that number. So that's why they threw an extra meeting in just in case. So.
Will we
All
see,
right.
will we see a list of all the VE stuff?
Yes, so we'll be creating that on the 9th, finalizing it on the 10th, and then sending it out with a meeting packet for the 13th, if we're
Okay.
having a meeting on the 13th.
We're hoping you do not, Diane, because we're hoping we don't need it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I kind of like to know about good news too, so,
Yeah.
I've never heard value engineering take the cost down, but maybe I missed something.
Jim, I
we can
think
take it down with value engineering. Trust me.
Jim, I think you participated in it when we did the DPW.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I understand that. Before we got going, though, it's after we get going, we start to see value engineering, my favorite term, which is, I mean, why isn't a door, an $8,000 door, already a value engineering decision?
Well, when they added the makerspace, that's something that would be on the list. So when when they added, not the makerspace, when they added combined the made two separate rooms, that added the door. And then that's an added thing. So if, but then it's a choice though. So if those are important, the school will have to weigh in and say, hey, we really want those spaces and we'll have to take it out of somewhere else.
Oh, no, I don't disagree with that. I agree with you. That to me is an example of something that is necessary to change, and we just need to know about it and then we move forward.
Yep.
Yeah, it really comes down to, what you can take out that doesn't affect your educational program, right? That's what you really want. Figure out things that, we're giving you the gold standard, and now we're going to silver. Like, we're trying to, when we do value engineering, we try not to hurt the educational program. We try not to hurt, the long-standing quality and maintenance of your building.
Right.
All right, Emily, so next item would be the schedule and the next steps.
Yeah, so I kind of just combined that into the estimating cycle, so that sort of takes us through to the next meeting, which will either be on the 13th if needed, or then on the 15th.
Right. And okay, so I think that was pretty much everything on that. We had invoices and meeting minutes, so unless there's anything else from the group or anything else from Tape, I think we're all set with you guys.
I think I'm good.
Nope.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep, good. Thanks, Matt.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Kim, if you want to bring up I didn't print them. I ran out of ink. I would have printed them.
It's all right. I was just showing you my email for fun. Hold on one second.
As long as it's not your vacation photos.
No, nope. Okay, so here's the Vertex invoice for $31,700.
All right. I make a motion that we approve the invoice from Vertex for the amount of $31,700 for professional services for the month of February.
Right, yep.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. We can do it by voice vote.
Who was-
All in favor?
Seconded. I'm sorry, I missed it.
Me.
Shayna.
Oh,
Yep. Either one of us.
okay, either one. Okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, pass unanimously.
Okay, and then we have Tape for
Yep.
a total right there. Can you see it, Rich?
Yeah, I can see it. Thank you. All right, I make a motion that we approve the invoice from Tape for design development for the month of February for the amount of $339,937.50.
A second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passed unanimously.
Rich,
Yes,
I
sir.
just think for the record, you ought to say anybody opposed. Let's make it very,
Well, good point. No, I appreciate that. And was there anyone opposed? Okay. Meaning before I say it was passed unanimously.
yeah, right.
Okay. Nope, that's an excellent point. Thank you, Jim.
Old moderator's thought.
Yeah.
All right. Next item, I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes as written for the month of January.
February
February.
11th.
Yep. Do I have a second?
Second. Was it February or January?
It was February
It was
11th.
February.
Okay.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passed unanimously. So, all right. Well, is there anything else from the group by any chance? Nope.
I thought
All right.
Jim raised his hand.
No. Heavens, no. Sorry about that.
All right, good. Well,
I'm just blowing my nose. What can I say?
Phenomenal meeting. Excellent. Well done. Tomorrow night, Jim, half hour. Let's see if we can do it again.
John Barry.
If he
All right,
does,
thanks,
play the
everybody.
lottery.
Yeah. All
All right.
right.
Thanks, everybody. Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.